We spent a lot of time talking about Tom Brady joining Fox eventually when his career is over, and we thought the numbers might be $20 to $25 million a year. And then you realize Fox is bringing him in as a brand ambassador and also to do color on their football games. And I thought John Skipper, one of the brightest people I ever encountered in my career, former ESPN CEO, president, and he's now the co-founder and CEO of Meadowlark Media, working with Dan Le Batard. And John, thanks for joining us. Your reaction when you first heard the news that Fox was going to offer that kind of money to Tom Brady?
I have to confess, my first reaction was not about the money, but about potentially how well Fox played this, right? Everybody was surprised that they let Joe Buck and Troy Aikman go. Troy Aikman was surprised that they had not even really been in touch with him about it. And I think perhaps this explains it, right? They planned all along that they were going to get Brady. I have no idea if that's right, by the way. But that's the first thing I thought is, wow, look how well they played this. They're going to get the GOAT into the booth.
How do you hide something like that, John?
I have no idea, though I am here somewhere in the Midwest in the witness protection program. So it is possible to keep secrets. And look, to your first point, it is a lot of money. And it raises the inevitable question, how you justify spending quite so much money. It's not because of ratings. It does not have any effect on the ratings. And I've never had anybody show me any data to dispute that. This is more about just what you were talking about. Pride, brand ambassador. Gee, we'll take our important advertisers by the booth to see Tom Brady. I suspect we'll see him at the upfront presentations at some point in the not too distant future. So you can make a justification for it, but it's not about ratings or because more people will watch or even because it will be a better or worse broadcast. It's just about the jazz of having Tom Brady.
But also, I was wondering, and it seems like an obvious question, John, but I don't think many people are asking, is Tom Brady going to be any good as an analyst?
I'm not sure it matters, other than there'll be a little bit of embarrassment. Look, he's a smart guy. He's charming. I'm assuming he'll be that. To me, the judgment of whether he's going to be any good is he going to provide insight. They can provide insight in a number of things, right? One of them is, and Tony Romo gets credit for being spectacular about this, right? Which is insight into what play is going to be called, why it's being played. I think Tom will do pretty well there. The other insight you want is, what is it like? What are the players like? Who's a good guy? Who's a bad guy? Is Tom Brady really going to be willing to say anything controversial? I suspect he will be careful. He's a very guarded guy, right? If you think about the life he leads and how he manages the information that comes out of his mouth, he's pretty guarded. I don't think he's going to be controversial. I don't think he's going to be provocative. He won't be any Charles Barkley, right? And that's what you like, is somebody who's fun, insightful, that you want to sit with. So he'll be okay. I don't think it'll be a disaster.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Charles Barkley might be the most valuable member of the sports media.
Right.
You agree?
Yes, I do. And I think there's only 3 or 4 people in the history of broadcasting who you genuinely can say that people tune in to see them, right? The late, great John Madden, who just recently passed, was one of those guys. Barkley right now is the guy in all of sports. You can say people will turn in to see him.
Did you try to get Barkley at ESPN?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's almost nobody who's really, really good we didn't try to get. The biggest issue at ESPN was, and you know this, so we'll have a little fun with this, is ESPN wants you to work too damn hard. We weren't willing to pay. I once remember talking to Shaq, who's a very good guy, very friendly, and I tried very hard to convince him, you don't want to be the second fiddle to Shaq. To Charles. Come over to ESPN, you'll be the star. And he said, I already talked to Charles. And Charles said, all I got to do is show up. And I don't have to rehearse. I don't have to be on SportsCenter. I don't have to be on First Take. I don't have to be on PTI. I don't have to be on NBA Countdown. I can just work, come in, sit down, and chew it up. And so, yeah, it was hard to get him.
I remember talking to Barkley. Barkley said, hey, ESPN is interested in signing me. And I said, well, let me tell you why you shouldn't do it. Where you're going to have to go every day or every other day, or you're going to have to be on ESPN radio. You're going to have to be on. You go through the car wash there. You got to know the weather is going to be an issue. You go through the car wash there, and I said you could do that, or I'm going to guess TNT is just going to say, hey, just show up and that's have some fun. And he said, yeah, this shouldn't be a hard decision.
Yeah, he's right, and we knew we were operating with that disadvantage. Of course, the other worked for us because we had so much programming to fill, and we needed guests, and we cared a lot about getting our money's worth. So yeah, it was a disadvantage, and I do not blame Shaq or Charles. They're sitting where they should be. And by the way, let me say another thing, Dan, which I think you'll agree with. For all the worrying about preparation and all, the best show, in some ways, the best sports studio show in all of sports is that Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson show. And it's because they look like they're having fun. They know what they're talking about. They're willing to be provocative. They're willing to mash it up. And it's great.
Well, John, you're saying it right to my face that that's the best studio show. And I thought that I was part of the best studio show. I mean,
well, you were part of the best sports information studio show, possibly not the game day pre and post and halftime show.
Okay.
So I should make that distinction.
Okay, all right, fair enough. The Manning cast. Where are we going with imitators with the Manning cast, in your opinion?
I think the Manning cast is terrifically entertaining. What we're doing is pretending that everything in the booth is great. We're doing the game the way we should do it. So if we're going to have fun, or we're going to not call every play, it's got to be an alternative broadcast. I personally think it's a funny attempt to get actually different voices on the game who aren't just calling 3rd and 8 and they turn around and hand the ball off. But I think what will be interesting is when somebody does that in the first booth, not in an alternative booth.
Oh, okay. So you're tuning into that game, and this is the game. It's not alternative programming.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I tried to do that one time with Tony Kornheiser, and the football gods. Gods rebelled. It was a little like when Paris took Helen to Troy. All of the football gods sent their forces in ships across the wide dark sea and tried to execute Tony.
What's the craziest idea you almost succeeded with at ESPN that you were going to try? Do you remember anything that was outside the box?
I think that Tony Kornheiser was the biggest example, right? We were trying to interject into a booth comedy and different kind of flavor, and it did not work. By the way, Tony did great work. It wasn't bad. It just there wasn't an overall general acceptance that was the right way to go. So and let me stipulate too, I didn't produce a lot of football games, so it's possible I don't know what I'm talking about.
He's John Skipper, the co-founder and CEO of Meadowlark Media with Dan Le Batard, former president of ESPN. Give me a sport that you would invest in right now if it was a stock. Aside from the NFL, you got another sport?
Sure, I did. And in this case, I just said, I could be wrong. Here's a case where I was not wrong, which is soccer, right? Soccer, I just read something the other day that suggested it's now the 4th most popular sport in the country, headed to number 3 behind football and basketball. And it is, of course, by now, you don't need Nostradamus to tell you this. Everybody knows this, right? NBC just paid a large sum of money and a big increase for the English Premier League. ESPN bought La Liga and Bundesliga. Champions League is a smash for CBS. Soccer's coming, and other than football and basketball, everybody should watch out. The other one is, of course, we saw this weekend, and on this one I was wrong, and that's F1.
Yeah,
F1's coming.
Yeah,
and They've done a fabulous job. The Drive to Survive show has helped. But to have a sport grow that fast in the United States with no U.S. participants is pretty remarkable. No participants at the highest level.
And you got a younger demo that's watching Formula One. And, you got the beautiful people that showed up for it, presents itself well. You got celebrities, you got the weather. You're racing on the same streets that people can drive on any other day. So there is some fascination with that. But baseball's been good at the local level, John.
Yes. Baseball's, I'm not denigrating any other sport. Baseball thrives at the local level. It thrives as a spectacular daily sport. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday. What was he doing? He's going to the White Sox game in the afternoon. So the local adherents are like daily communicants, and it works very well that way.
But should they be worried? Should the commissioner be worried about the national audience, national perception of baseball as a sport?
Of course, they should be, right? And there are some solves for it, right? The issue is there have not been enough national games. One of the great benefits of the NFL and its contracted schedule and scarcity of games is everybody in the country can see every team. I defy you, absent some very expensive, absent MLB.com or whatever the digital package is called, you can't see the Marlins and Padres play if you live in Chicago or Cleveland unless you have a couple $100 package. Nobody sees any of the baseball teams until the postseason, except the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers and a couple of others.
Before I let you go, would you have signed Tom Brady to that deal if you were at ESPN? And would you have made an offer like that?
No.
But ESPN reportedly did, they were involved in the sweepstakes for Tom Brady.
They were involved, and someone else is running ESPN and doing a fine job. But when I was there, I did not believe that I would never pay this kind of money for those athletes.
What kind of money would you have paid that money for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman?
Look, once again, every time anybody came up, I went by and talked to them. I went by and spoke with Joe Buck. And we would love to have had Joe Buck, but we were not willing to pay the amount of money it would take to get him. And then we tried to bridge the gap by doing what we talked about at the beginning, right, Dan? We'll give you 15 other things to do. Then maybe we can justify it. And remember, too, we had 1,000 talent. And every time we hired somebody, everybody else felt their salary needed to be recalibrated. So it's a different beast. ESPN's a different mechanism, but they want to play, and they're right. They want to play in the top level game with their NFL football, and it's probably a good idea.
Well, it feels like ESPN spent all of its money on just getting these leagues, as opposed to the talent. Whereas some of the other networks, they were forced to spend a little bit more on their talent. Tony Romo kind of changed everything, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And look, again, ESPN is overwhelmingly about volume, right? The point, and by the way, they're buying the right thing. You have to choose: am I going to buy more rights, or am I going to pay play-by-play and analysts more money? I would choose more rights.
Yeah. John, it's great to talk to you as always, and hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. I look forward to seeing you in the neighborhood one day.
Well, maybe we'll show up at Levitard's next wedding.
Oh, please. Please. No. He's not going to have any more weddings. Forget I said that. No. This is the one and only.
No. The
love. The man is married forever.
The anniversary party. The anniversrsary party. How's
exactly.
that? My bad. I misspoke. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Dan.
That's
nice
John Skipper, former boss, co-founder, CEO of Meadowlark Media.